Hey, guess what? It's Lent. Hey, I'm Kadesh with Catholic Pipes. And as most of you guys know, Lent's begun. And so this episode is a special Lenten message for us to get our minds right during this great season. Did you know that our lives are supposed to mimic Christ's life? With that being said, let's talk about Lent. You see, after Jesus' baptism, Jesus went to the desert for 40 days, and there he was tempted by Satan. The question for us is, what does this episode within Scripture teach us about ourselves and what we should be doing during the great season of Lent? There's something really special about the desert. We see that Jesus went there to be tempted. But if you think about it, in the desert, you're far away from any of the temptations of this earth. We see this in the desert monks and the desert fathers who'd escape off into the mountains, like Saint Anthony, for instance. It is there that they tried to commune with God physically in the desert by removing themselves once again from earthly pleasures. In the same way, we enter into a spiritual desert where we try to strip ourselves of these earthly pleasures, not for suffering's sake. Absolutely not. No, it's for us to refocus our attention on God and realize that He is the one that sustains us. This is exactly what Christ did in the desert. He was hungry, he was fasting, and when the devil came to tempt him, he reminded the devil of who was truly in charge, of who truly sustained Christ, and it was God the Father. That was his sustenance. And in the same way, when we are going through Lent, we must be mindful that we are not just doing the asceticisms, the prayer and the fasting, just for the sake of tradition. If that's all that we do, is that we are fasting on Wednesdays or Fridays, having no meat, and we're giving up chocolate or wine or coffee, remember, it is not just the act of giving something up. It's the act of, what are we replacing it with? Are we turning our hearts towards Christ? Are we trying to engage Him as the source and summit of our lives? When you are in this great season of Lent, be mindful that you are not here just to give things up, but you're here to gain something. You're trying to gain a deeper connection with God by removing the things in your life that distract you from Him. Our ultimate goal is to become like Christ. And the only way that we can do such is by mimicking Him and His obedience to God in the way that He views God as everything that He will ever need. So let us do that this season. Let us remove the things from our lives that are distracting us from God. Let us make the most of this great Lenten season, a spiritual reset for us, to rid us of all the gunk in our lives that is quieting the voice of God, that muffles it out. Let us rejuvenate that sense of God in our lives this great Lent.